right, Derek. Y'all kind of led the way in terms of starting workouts, and just where are you guys when you assess your players in terms of being ready for a season if we do get to have one?
Yeah, I think we're going to be ready. Whenever that date is. If it's starting pads in July 20th like normally, or pushed all the way back to August 30th. I think we'll be ready. Just because I feel really good about the plan our staff's put into place. And certainly, I promise you, nobody replaces more than Maryville does from last year's team. As far as inexperience goes, we're going to lead the way there too. So a class of 30 seniors graduated, and 17 of them started. That's more than we've ever had to replace at Maryville since I've been there, and a lot to be proud of from that last class. One of the best classes that's probably ever come through Maryville High School. But one of the silver linings in this COVID-19 pandemic has been, even though you can't have contact and there's a lot of restrictions, you can still teach. You can still, and that's all football is as coaches, we're just teachers. It's an extension of the classroom. And so we've still been able to teach our kids, well, here's the expectations, and here's your job in this scheme or play or formation or whatever the case may be. So I feel great about the job that our coaching staff has done, getting a lot of kids up to speed as far as knowing what to do. But at some point you're going to have to put the pads on and practice the execution piece. Honestly, though, when concussions kind of came into play about a decade ago, most teams stopped the live tackling to the ground in practice. I know there's a lot of teams that don't even practice in full pads once the season starts. And so I think our game now, probably more so than ever, is prepared for a quick start of sorts. And, if that means we get less time in pads, I think that will be fine.
But you guys have always used an Innsworth or a Catholic to really prepare and maybe bring about some of that experience a little farther before the season begins. How can you combat that or address that? It seems like we're not going to get scrimmages.
That's a great question. I think it's so important for our program to be humbled early. And if that's a scrimmage, great. If that's a game, great. Because ultimately our goal is to be the best version of ourselves that we can be at the end of the year. Whether that's a state championship or not, we have to be satisfied with our best at the end of the season. And so that's a great point that we want to play somebody better than us that will challenge us in a scrimmage or early on in the season, so that we can get better. And if we don't have that, I don't know how you replace that. I don't know if you can. I don't think, because beating up on yourself in practice or scrimmaging yourself is not going to do the trick like it would an Innsworth or a Catholic, or even playing an Alco early in the year will.
When you look at, you mentioned the inexperience that you have, but you still have guys like Parker McGill that got so much run last year, and he actually led you guys in rushing. I think everybody just kind of, you think back on y'all's team last year, it's T. Hodge and nothing else, but Parker ran for almost 1,300 yards. Have you seen him flip a switch or anything this offseason, and knowing that he's going to be the lead guy?
Yeah, I have. He's a really good football player, and so he's had a great offseason. He looks phenomenal. Very similar to a lot of our kids. They've had great off seasons up to March, and then started back up at the end of May. But yeah, I'm excited about Parker. I'm excited about the 6 kids that we do have returning, 5 or 6 starters that we do have returning. I'm excited about them, and I'm excited about a lot of young kids that nobody knows yet. And that's kind of the Maryville mentality. Is we have so many kids that work so hard, and we have a few start as sophomores. But it's very few. And there's way more kids who work extremely hard in the off season and wait their turn, and when their time comes, they make the most of that moment. And so that's what's most exciting about coaches. We're trying to put our kids in the position to be successful and give them the best chance to succeed. And there's always kids who come out of nowhere that you didn't see it coming, and they have not only good senior years in their first year as a starter, but all-state caliber seasons. It happened last year in Drew Crowder. Drew Crowder's a kid who played as a freshman on the freshman team, 2 years of JV, and then had an all-state senior season at safety. And it's just like, wow, and that's what makes this a whole lot of fun.
DJ Burks was the only underclassman. I think everybody was seniors, right?
Zach Brayton,
secondary. Okay.
That started,
just a secondary,
though.
Yeah. And now he's the lead guy.
Yeah.
Have y'all talked with him about being that leader of the secondary, whereas last year he was probably looking up to those guys or learning from them?
I think it's something that he definitely understands is kind of on the table. Now, I would assume there's going to be some seniors start in the secondary. So they'll be older than him, but at the same time, they won't have started as many games as he has. So, yeah, he's going to have to take on more of a leadership role and might have to play some offense as well. It just depends, and we don't even know what Maryville's going to look like in 2020 yet, because you don't learn a lot of those things until you get to scrimmage and play. And so there'll be a lot of moving pieces. If we don't have a scrimmage, there'll be a lot of moving pieces. I think teams will look drastically different, more so than any other year, week to week early on, because they're trying to find their footing.
Physically looked the part last year, and at times, got to shine a little bit. Has he taken the necessary steps to get into that possible starting lineup?
Yeah, I think he has. I'm really excited about Markel, and I think him and Nick Daigle both. Nick got to play a lot of X receiver for us last year, and certainly Markel behind Ashton Maples got to play some, but he's done a phenomenal job of learning what to do, and some of those guys may have to play on defense too, including Markel and Nick. So again, those are Markel's somebody that we're really excited about, proud of, great kid, and so looking forward to see what we can accomplish.
All right.